How did one of our clients generate 556K off of 10K in ad spend? Today's video is an excerpt of one of our lives where I break down exactly how this works and exactly how we did this, going through the ad strategy, the pricing, how much we spent, what that looked like, and hopefully you can get some value from today's video. And without further ado, let's jump in. Let's dive in. So we're talking about Max Engage and how they added 556K in video deals to their video business off of 10K in ad spend. And just to prove to you that I'm not BSing you, here's their total ad spend. Here are the campaigns that we have as far as the cost per lead and different campaigns that we tested. And it totals $10,659.61, just so you guys can see that here. So biggest thing for this, like the biggest problems they had coming in were, number one, offer sheet. So not having a good offer. Number two, not actually understanding how to get leads consistently, right? And number three, they were doing a lot of different things. So like when Gage came to me, I think they were charging $800 to $1,000 a month for their services. And then we got them to, and we'll go through some broad price points. I'm not going to tell you their exact price points because it's not respectful of them, but now they're charging upwards of 50 to 60K for a year-long commitment with them. And that's obviously what is helping them grow as far as their growth. So a couple of different packages we talked about here. So number one is, these are all 12-month retainers, and that's what we pitch. So we say, hey, here's a 12-month retainer. Here's what it looks like. We have a 40K, a 50K, or a 66K. And then within each one of these, we have sticky deliverables, and then we have one-time deliverables. Ethan, maybe you want to talk a little bit about what the difference between a sticky deliverable is and then what a one-time deliverable is.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, sticky is, something that they get on a monthly basis. Could be social content, could be ads, things like that are recurring every single month. And then the one time, be things like brand videos, testimonials, things like that are going to live on, basically like your evergreen content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's a combination of those. We're not going to tell you guys exactly what's inside of them just to be respectful for these guys, but these are a range of kind of where their packages are at, and they're pitching these all up front. And so a big mistake I see when people do pitch retainers is they're pitching the monthly first instead of pitching it all up front, right? And so typically when I'm pitching this, I say, hey, we have three different packages. They're all 12-month packages. We have a 66K, a 50K, and a 40K. And so I pitch all of them that way. And then they say, oh my gosh, like, is that all up front or do you break it up? And then this is when you can use that key phrase, which is, most of our clients pay up front, but did you need a payment plan, right? Because 50% of people are going to say, no, I don't need a payment plan. I'm good with paying that up front. And then the other 50% are going to say, yeah, I can't afford that. I can't pay all that up front. What does that look like, right? But what we do at that point is we price anchor them, and then we go down to the monthly. And I think that's something where, we onboarded a client the other day and they were all pitching just the monthly. Like, no one's going to pay you more if they don't have to. So when you pitch the total, you get an opportunity to collect the full PIF or pay in full upfront, as opposed to, waiting down the line and then collecting monthly payments. And that increases your cash collected, right? So that's absolutely huge. Yeah, cool. James Drake, what's going on? You hear us? Perfect. How did they decide where to put the 10K in ad spend? That's a good question. Let's actually go back up and recap that before we move on. One sec. So what we did is we're testing different ads, right? So you could see on here, like, the top two ads are these top ones up here. But then these ones, like this one didn't perform, right? This one did perform. This one's a little bit out of KPI. This one's a little bit out of KPI. You can see all the different, and these are different campaigns, not actual ads. So like each one of these campaigns has like 2 to 3 ads within it. And I think a big problem a lot of people run into when they're running ads is they do not test enough, right? Like, they're not testing enough variations. You're not testing different hooks. You're not testing different bodies. And ultimately, like, if they just gave up after testing like these, this one and maybe this one, their lead costs would be 3 or 4 times what it is right now, which is like, it wouldn't have made as good, like they wouldn't have had as good of an ROI, right? So big thing for a lot of people is you have to be testing different ads, variations, hooks, and then we give you all those frameworks, obviously within Master Filmmaker, to show you how that actually works. But this is how we actually test test these different frameworks and show, their audience what they want to, what they want to click on. So we're just testing. You can see obviously with this one, we have 83 leads at $41 a lead. This was a winner. This one was a winner. This one was not a winner. And then this one was okay. And you can see the rest of those here on out. So this is the biggest thing. Like, we have to test, and the people who are the most successful, I think, with us and with ads in general, are testing more creative over time. And they're not just like throwing something up and being one and done, right? Let's look at a couple questions on Instagram here. Thoughts on an awareness campaign for the first month, then transferring to sales lead objectives? No, don't do that. The problem is the way and we're going to talk about this as well, the way the Facebook algorithm is hooked up now. Like, when you do an awareness campaign, Facebook targets people who are going to respond to an awareness campaign. And those people might not be in the same bucket as people who are qualified leads. So you're just wasting money getting vanity metrics as far as like views, through plays, and things like that. And you're wasting your budget on that. And there's really no point in warming them up on an awareness campaign. I just tell our clients to go straight to a lead objective, right? Reason being just because we optimize around qualified leads, not around just awareness or views. Let me know if that makes sense, Peyton. Let's see if I have some other questions on here. I have a client of mine that's a renovation company, and we started decking out his Instagram, making a video for Google ads and Instagram ads. Any idea how I can get them more leads? Yeah, set up campaigns like this. So like what we do is like, this is a Facebook lead gen campaign. So we just basically set up a Facebook lead campaign. We test different ad creatives, and then we have the people click the link below the ad and then opt in, and then turn that into, they obviously fill out a couple questions, and then they end up booking a call at that point. That's the best way to help your clients actually get more leads, is by running a lead generation campaign and then putting questions within that are going to actually help qualify the correct type of lead for them. So let me know if that makes sense. Kane Johnson over here. Thoughts on meta ad certificates? Are they important, or is it just experience based? I don't care about meta ad certificates. It doesn't mean anything, right? Really what matters is, what are the past campaigns you've run? What are your case studies? What are the successful people you've worked with? And what does that look like? And how much money have you generated for your clients? And if you can't answer those things, I don't care if you have a certificate if you don't have any of those things, right? So that's key. Awesome, man. Thank you. Perfect. Sounds like the audio is working. Peyton says yes. Awesome. All right, let's move on, guys. So this is their ad campaign. This is the case study. This is live on my YouTube. If you want to go watch this, this is Gage, and he's the owner of the company, and he takes all the sales calls that come in from the actual ads that we generate for him. All right, cool. Let's move on. So we talked about the packages. Most of you guys are not selling high ticket enough, and that's why you're not as profitable in ads as you want to be. And then also just charging higher ticket gives you more margin. And Ethan, what do we typically shoot for margins with these types of
things? Say 60 to 70%.
And that's on the packages, right?
Yeah, and that's on the packages. So if your package is 10K, just for easy math, you spend $3,000 to complete all the work. That's subs and editors and whoever, whatever else you need to get that work completed, basically. Yeah. And then you profit $7 on that.
Yeah. And that way you have enough money to actually run ads and generate these leads. So 70 to 80% profit margins is typically what we're shooting for. Let's kind of break down the lead gen strategy and walk you guys through this as well. So pretty simple, but there's a lot of nuance to this. So I think James Drake asked, do those tests come as a part of the social clips package we come up with, or is the test drilled down in each one of those social clips? I don't know if I quite understand the question, James. For our clients, like for Max Engage, the testing came from us testing different creatives. And so they target specifically medical companies like cosmetic dentists. That's their market. That's who they target. So different hooks, we tested different bodies, we tested different copies, we tested different pain points, different angles around things that dentists and cosmetic dentists are actually struggling with. That way we can see which one resonates the most. And the ones that have the higher cost per lead don't resonate as much. The ones that have the lower cost per lead resonate obviously more. So that's typically how we're testing. So let's talk about the lead gen strategy. So we have an ad, very simple, and that ad goes to a Facebook lead form. And then in that Facebook lead form, this is very crucial for getting qualified leads. We have what we call conditional logic. Now, conditional logic is something where it's if then this, that, right? If then that, right? So like if someone selects this answer, it boots them out. If someone selects another answer, it lets them continue on down the path. Does that make sense for everybody? Yes? Cool. So we had specific questions, and we help our clients come up with these specific questions around qualifying the lead. So like it could be something like, are you a dental practice making over 30K a month or 40K a month or 100K a month? If they select yes, then that goes to the qualified route where they can book a call with Gage and then close, right? If they select no, that goes to the unqualified bucket and they get booted out. Now, this is super important because Facebook optimizes around the types of leads that you get. So if you're getting bad leads, it's going to find you more of those types of leads. So you have to optimize around qualified leads only, not just any leads in general, right? And so that's where people who have maybe run ads in the past are running ads like, oh, it didn't work for me. I was getting horrible quality. It's like, well, are you actually teaching your Facebook pixel what a good quality prospect looks like, right? Ethan, what are maybe some questions people could ask on their form to get quality?
I mean, it would be, are you a business owner? Are you this type of business owner? Like, do you own a law firm, right? Do you own a dental practice?
Yep.
Are you making from A to B in terms of revenue every single month? So things like that to, basically just up the bar in terms of people that are coming in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So that's the lead gen strategy. That's how we actually get leads, right? So there's 3 stools or 3 legs to every single business. There's lead generation, there's sales, and there's fulfillment. How do I get people interested in talking with me? How do I talk to them on the phone and close them? And then how do I actually fulfill on the promises that I promise them, right? Pretty simple. So this is part number 1. This is the lead gen strategy. Now, moving on to the second part, which is the sales strategy. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Fairly simple. But what we'll do is we'll basically have a triage call with leads that come in, which is like a 10 to 15 minute call where we qualify if they're the right fit, if they're the right type of person. We triage them. And then if they pass that triage phase, which we have an appointment setter doing for him, then they go into a sales call. That sales call is typically going to be on Zoom. This is where they're hopping on Zoom. They're talking about the problems. And then we're going through this exact framework. We're going through intro rapport. Hey, how are you? Thanks for jumping on. A little bit of intro on you and what you do. And then we go straight into discovery, which is building that gap of where they are to where they want to be and building that discovery and growing that gap of, okay, you said your dental practice is at $400K a month. You want to get it to $1 million a month. Got it. That makes sense, right? You're building that gap. What are some of the problems you're encountering? What are some of the issues you're encountering? What does that look like? And you're building that gap and building that in discovery. Now, once we have that, then we're going into the diagnosis phase. And the diagnosis phase is going to be where, okay, so based on all the problems you told me about, here's what I think the best plan of action is going to be. And this is the best type of content we should create. Here's the strategy. Here's what we should be doing. And we're going through that diagnosis. Then after they're solid on the diagnosis phase, then we're going into what we call the pitch phase, where we're going over the actual prices. Then after we go over the prices, we're going over, like we said, the, what was it? The 66K, 50K, 40K. And we're seeing which one they're leaning towards. Then we're actually collecting on that on the call, taking the card, taking the payment, taking the ACH. And then if there's any sort of objections, we're going through objections, we're conquering objections, and we're talking through any sort of issues they may be having. And then we collect the money. That's it. Right? Ethan, any part of this that you want to elaborate on as far as this process for people?
I would say the discovery is the most important part of the
Why
whole.
is that?
It's just like you're talking about, like building the gap. Where are we at? Where do we need to be? Or, maybe where do we want to be? And that's the most important piece of the process is seeing, okay, we want to get from, $100,000 a month to $1 million per month. We got a big gap to get there. So,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to take some steps to get from, basically 10xing our business, basically. Yeah. So that's the biggest point of the call. And that's also where you can eliminate, a good amount of objections too. So yeah. I would say discovery is the biggest part.
And then you just have to position your solution as the thing that solves that problem and helps them actually get to that goal or increases the likelihood of them getting to that goal. That's huge. So that's the sales process. And then let's talk about fulfillment here. So then we come into the actual client journey. And this is something that I see a lot of agency owners not harping on and not actually mapping out. So the client journey is fairly simple. And Ethan, I'll kind of have you elaborate on some of this stuff as well. We actually built out their client journey with them in Asana, or you can use something like Monday.com, where it's like, okay, the client journey is when somebody pays you, what's the next step? Great. The next step is onboarding. Then we do the strategy. Then we do the scripting of the videos. Then we do the filming of the videos. Then we edit the videos. Then we deliver the videos. And then we try to upsell them after we've already completed that 12-month contract. We try to then upsell them to the next package with us, right? And a lot of people are not thinking about what that client journey actually looks like. And if you don't describe it, it's going to be really difficult to actually improve it. So Ethan, maybe talk about like, what does a good onboarding look like for somebody?
So I would say the biggest thing is going to be setting expectations with your client in terms of, what each piece of content is going to do. Like, what is a brand video going to do? What is a testimonial going to do? What are ads going to do? Social content, like what is each piece going to do? Because like with, like social content, for example, that's going to be something that we're going to adapt to month over month, right?
Yep.
We'll shoot month one, roll it out. And then month two, okay, we'll come back, have a strategy session and see, okay, what worked, what was good month one, what wasn't good month two or month one, and then, double down on what worked well the first month. So really just seeing, and just it's going to get better over time.
Well, and I think the biggest issue a lot of people come up against is that they don't actually have a choreographed process that they take their clients through. So they're just like winging it every single time. And they're like, man, why is nobody, why are my clients not upselling? Why are people not getting consistent results? Why are they struggling to achieve the outcome I'm promising them when I sell them? Well, the reason is because nothing's choreographed or documented. And it's the same thing, like honestly, with a lot of people's lead gen process is they have no choreographed process that they're taking people through. And that's why they're struggling to upsell people, turn them into the next deal, turn them into a renewal, get like client reviews, get client case studies, because they're struggling to actually have a choreographed process. And guys, it's literally as simple as like take a Google Doc and write steps 1 through 100 of what you do with your clients. Like that's it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And then you can put that in something like Asana or Monday.com or whatever it may be, right? But you have to have something documented. Otherwise, it is a real struggle to get your clients a result, right?
Yep.
Peyton says, once received payment to delivery of ads, how long does that process on average take? 2 weeks to a month? It depends on the business, right? It depends on how many ads. It depends on the launch time. It depends on the pre-production. Like every business that we work with is going to have a little bit of a different timeline. But you want that process to be as quick as possible because there's something called time to first value. And so when somebody pays you, right, if you make them wait a month to get anything in return, do you think they're going to be very happy with you if that's the case? Why?
It's a long time.
Yeah. Does anyone want to pay someone and then wait 30 to 60 days to get an outcome from them? No. You're going to get upset, right?
Like two weeks is a good time.
Yeah. 2 weeks is as basically the answer is as fast as you can possibly make it, right? If you could snap your fingers, someone could pay you and then you magically get them the result in 30 seconds, like that would be the perfect scenario. So it's like, how can you continue to compress the timeline from when they pay you to when they get the result? Like, and you should be working on your client journey and being like, how can I compress this? How can I make it shorter? Like that's what we do at Master Filmmaker. It's like, how can we get results even quicker? Okay, great. Like this client closed the deal in 2 weeks. How can I make that 2 days? How can I make, like Ethan and I are constantly having meetings about like, how can I make this shorter? How can we get people results quicker, faster, with less work, right? And you guys should be thinking the same thing with your clients. How can I continue to compress that time, right? Which is huge. So that's the client journey. And then finally, we're going to go into like what kind of client management softwares they're using, our clients are using, and what that actually looks like. So typically we're using something like Slack for our private one-to-one channels with our video clients, right? And our clients are using that, like Gage and Max are using, I believe, Slack. Each client gets a private channel. We don't do texting. We don't do emailing. We don't do phone calls. We do Slack and we do Zoom, and that's it, right? Like you guys have to centralize your communication. And I think a good thought exercise a lot of times is like, if I got 100 more clients tomorrow, like, would I hate my life or would this be manageable? And having individual Slack channels for each client makes it manageable, right? It makes it easier. So like we got to think through these things. And then as far as project management, Monday.com, where you're mapping out that client journey, you're mapping out the items that need to be completed for each client, what those tasks look like, and then Stripe for payment processing. And then they use our Master Filmmaker CRM that we have built out for all of our clients around the lead gen, the nurture, how to get the leads, how to manage the leads, how to manage the pipelines, and all that fun jazz. So hopefully this gives you guys some good insight. We'll take some questions you guys might have around how these guys got to 556K in deals off of 10K of ad spend. But if you have any questions, let us know, and we're happy to start answering those in the chat here.